Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take fascinating research, complex sources, and boil them down for you. Today, we're really digging into something huge: depression, relapse rates, and how mindfulness-based interventions, MBIs, stack up as a treatment.
Yeah.
And the need is, well, it's urgent. Our sources paint a pretty stark picture. Have one bout of depression, there's a 30% chance it'll come back within 10 years.
Yeah, and it gets worse. After 2 episodes, that jumps to 80%. 80%.
That's staggering, and add to that antidepressants. Well, they only lead to full remission for about a quarter of people after 6 months.
Right. So we clearly need other strong options, maybe even a better primary approach for some. And before we dive into the studies, let's just quickly define our core term: mindfulness. Fundamentally, it's about paying attention on purpose in the present moment. And this is key non-judgmentally.
So being present with your thoughts, feelings, body sensations, without getting carried away or beating yourself up about them.
Exactly. It sounds simple, but it's quite different from our usual state of, well, mind wandering, which research links pretty strongly to unhappiness.
Okay, so our mission today: unpack how this skill, learning to pay attention differently, offers a real science-backed path for managing these tough mental health issues. Let's get into it. Where do we start?
I think we start with the core psychological shift. A lot of the research, people like Stuart Eisendroth, emphasize something that can feel a bit radical at first.
Okay.
The goal isn't always to, eradicate depression entirely. That can feel like an impossible task sometimes. It's more about changing your relationship to it.
Changing the relationship. How so?
It means learning to accept the difficult thoughts and feelings, detaching just enough so they don't run your life, allowing you to still live a happier, healthier life alongside them.
Acceptance. That does sound counterintuitive, especially compared to how we usually think about treating illness, right? Get rid of it.
Precisely. But mindfulness targets something specific that drives depression.
Yeah.
Rumination.
Ah, yes. That endless loop of negative thoughts. Chewing on past mistakes, worrying.
Exactly that. And those depression-fueled thoughts, I'm worthless, it's all hopeless, often they're just thoughts. They feel real, but they aren't necessarily facts.
But when you buy into them, you spiral.
You do. Leaning into them just feeds the negative cycle. Mindfulness helps you step back. It strengthens what we call the observing self.
The observing self, like a part of you that can just watch the thoughts.
Kind of. So instead of being consumed by the thought, I am worthless, you learn to notice it. Okay, I am having the thought that I am worthless right now.
Just that little shift in phrasing feels like it would create some breathing room.
It creates huge mental space. It lessens the thought's power and, crucially, reduces the self-judgment that often comes with it. And this ties directly into acceptance, actively fighting or resisting depressive thoughts. Research suggests that can actually make things worse. Acceptance means acknowledging what's here right now without needing it to be different.
Letting go of fighting the present reality.
Yes, letting go of trying to change what's already happened or how you feel right now.
Yeah.
And studies link this kind of acceptance to better outcomes, fewer symptoms, better quality of life.
Okay, that sets the stage. Let's talk clinical proof. The sources really highlighted relapse prevention.
Absolutely. This is where the evidence is arguably strongest. Mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, or MBCT. It's shown results that are pretty remarkable.
How remarkable?
Well, multiple studies suggest MBCT is basically as effective as sticking with antidepressant medication for preventing relapse in adults who've had multiple episodes of depression.
As effective as maintenance meds, that's a huge claim for a non-drug approach.
It is. It's a major finding.
But let's pause there, because taking a pill is, relatively speaking, easy. MBCT, as I understand it, is an 8-week program, right? Requires serious commitment, practice.
That's the crucial point, and it's a fair challenge. Yes, it demands effort, daily practice, group sessions. It's an investment.
So how do we reconcile the equal effectiveness with that disparity in effort? Why choose the harder path?
Because you're building a skill, not just managing a symptom temporarily. The medication works while you take it. MBCT aims to change the underlying process, how your mind reacts to triggers. It's about training the brain for the long haul.
Okay, training the brain. How does MBCT do that specifically? You mentioned it combines mindfulness with cognitive therapy.
Right. It targets something called cognitive reactivity. Think of it like bad mental muscle memory.
Bad muscle memory. Intriguing. Explain that.
Okay, so when you're in remission from depression, even a small dip in mood, a gloomy day, some minor criticism can sometimes automatically trigger that whole network of negative thinking you had when you were deeply depressed. It's like a learned reflex.
So the sad mood itself becomes a trigger for the depressive thoughts to come roaring back.
Exactly. Cognitive reactivity, MBCT, over those 8 weeks, helps you notice that process starting and consciously unhook from it. It makes that negative thought network less reactive.
Yeah.
Less likely to spiral.
That bad muscle memory analogy really clicks. Okay, so MBCT is tailored for depression relapse. What about general stress and anxiety? Does the original framework, MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction, hold up?
It does. MBSR and just mindfulness practices in general show strong effectiveness for reducing symptoms of anxiety and stress.
How does it compare to other therapies, like CBT?
Meta-analyses show MBIs are definitely better than, say, just basic relaxation training. And importantly, they perform comparably to cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, for anxiety reduction. So it's a legitimate evidence-based option there too. And this is where it gets really interesting down at the biological level.
Okay.
Mindfulness practice actually seems to help regulate the HPA axis. That's the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, your body's main stress response system.
So it calms the alarm system down.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
It helps reduce the release of cortisol, the big stress hormone. At the same time, brain imaging shows changes better emotional regulation activity in the prefrontal cortex.
It's the thinking part of the brain.
Right. And decreased activity in the amygdala.
The fear center.
Exactly. So you're getting this dual effect. Calming the stress system and strengthening the brain's ability to manage emotional responses.
So practicing this stuff isn't just a mental trick. It's actually changing your physiology, your brain's response patterns.
Precisely. Consistent practice seems to physically rewire things.
That power to shift brain function, it leads us nicely into the broader impacts, doesn't it? Beyond just symptoms. Our sources had this really interesting study on college students in Peru.
Yes, the quasi-experimental study. They ran a 12-session mindfulness program, and yes, they found significant reductions in stress, anxiety, depression, the expected clinical stuff.
But they looked further, right?
They did. They also found improvements in sleep quality, overall life satisfaction, and, quite significantly, in social support.
Okay, wait. Social support. That showed the biggest effect in their results, according to the source material. That feels surprising. How does meditating on your breath make you feel more connected to others?
It seems counterintuitive at first, but it links back directly to that self-regulation we just talked about.
How so?
Well, think about it. When you practice mindfulness, you tend to become more aware of your own emotional reactions. You get better at managing them, maybe become less impulsive, less reactive in conversations.
Okay, I can see that.
So you approach interactions differently, maybe with more empathy, less judgment. You're just a calmer, more steady presence. And that naturally makes people feel more comfortable around you, more likely to see you as supportive and available.
So it improves your ability to connect, which then strengthens your actual social network.
That seems to be the idea. It enhances how others perceive your availability for support, and probably how you perceive theirs too. Which is huge, because social connection is a massive buffer against stress and depression.
So mindfulness isn't just an internal journey. It actually makes you, potentially, a better friend, partner, colleague. That elevates its importance, doesn't it?
It really does. But here's a fascinating nuance from that study's analysis. They dug deeper. They wanted to know why stress and anxiety went down. Was it because people were sleeping better or because they felt more socially supported?
Were those the mechanisms driving the change? Like side effects causing the main effect?
Exactly. They ran specific statistical models, HE3 and Anacovea, to test if sleep and social support were mediating the effect.
And what was the verdict?
Surprisingly, no. The model suggested that while better sleep and social support were definitely positive outcomes of the intervention, they weren't the primary reasons why anxiety and stress decreased.
So the mindfulness practice itself had a more direct impact.
That's what the analysis implies. The reduction in symptoms likely came directly from the core mindfulness skills, things like decreased rumination, increased self-compassion, better metacognition, which is thinking about your own thinking. The internal shift was the main engine.
That's really important. It underscores the power of learning to relate differently to your own mind, rather than just relying on external changes. Okay, let's shift gears then, from the why to the how. For someone listening wanting to try this, what are the core techniques? The sources mentioned moving from detachment to active acceptance. Let's start with detachment.
Right. Detachment is often the starting point. It's about learning to see thoughts as just thoughts, mental events passing through, not necessarily truths about you or the world.
How do you practice that?
A common technique is visualization. Imagine your thoughts like clouds drifting across the sky or leaves floating down a stream. You just watch them come and go without grabbing onto them or getting swept away. The goal is non-engagement. Observe, don't fuse with a thought.
Okay, observe the thought clouds. Then, how do you anchor yourself when the mind inevitably wanders off?
Focusing practices. One is called present moment awareness. You gently guide your attention. Maybe start with the feeling of your feet on the floor, then notice your breath moving in and out, then expand awareness to sounds around you, and then even notice thoughts themselves as just another passing phenomenon.
Kind of like a guided tour of the present moment.
Exactly. A simpler one is counting breaths. Just count each exhale, maybe up to 10. And when your mind wanders, which it will, you gently notice that, let go of the distraction and just restart the count at 1. No judgment.
Okay, those seem like good starting points. But what about when it's not just a random thought, but a really powerful, difficult emotion? Like a wave of anger or deep sadness. Detachment might feel impossible then.
That's where active acceptance becomes crucial. And there's a very helpful structured technique for this called RAIN.
RAIN. Okay, what does that stand for?
It's an acronym to guide you through managing strong emotions without suppressing them or acting them out destructively.
Can we walk through it, maybe with an example? Say you get some really unfair criticism at work and you just feel this flush of anger and maybe shame.
Perfect example. If that feeling hits you, instead of reacting instantly, you pause and apply RAIN. First, R is for recognize. You simply acknowledge what's happening internally. Okay, wow, anger is here, shame is here too. Just naming it.
Just noticing, without judgment.
Exactly. Then A is for allow or accept. This is often the toughest step. It doesn't mean you like the feeling or agree with the criticism. It just means you stop fighting the feeling itself. You let it be there for a moment. Okay, this feels awful, but it's here right now. I allow this feeling.
So you're not trying to push it away immediately.
Right. You're making space for it. Then I is for investigate. With gentle curiosity, not analysis, you ask yourself, what does this actually feel like in my body? Tightness in my chest, heat in my face. What thoughts are swirling around this feeling? You explore the landscape of the emotion.
Getting to know it almost.
In a way, yes. And finally, N is for non-identification. This brings back the detachment piece. You remind yourself this feeling is intense, but it isn't me. I am the observer of this anger, not the anger itself. It helps you shift back to that observing self, realizing the emotion is temporary and doesn't define you.
RAIN. Recognize, allow, investigate, non-identify. That sounds incredibly practical for handling those really tough moments.
It takes practice, like all these skills, but it can be very powerful.
Beyond immediate distress, the sources also talked a lot about self-compassion. Why is that so important here?
Because when we're struggling, especially with depression, self-criticism often goes into overdrive. We beat ourselves up relentlessly. Self-compassion is the antidote.
How do you cultivate that?
There are specific practices. Loving kindness meditation is a big one. You repeat phrases silently, first toward yourself. May I be safe? May I be healthy? May I live with ease? Then extend it to loved ones, neutral people, even difficult people eventually.
Sending well wishes, essentially.
Yes, cultivating warmth and care. Another simple one is the common humanity exercise. Maybe you're stuck in traffic feeling frustrated. You look at another driver and consciously think, just like me, this person wants to be happy. Just like me, they suffer sometimes. Just like me, they make mistakes.
Reminding yourself that struggle is part of the shared human experience, not a personal failing.
Exactly. It combats that feeling of isolation and shame that's so common in depression.
Now, a common hurdle people face, I think, when they try meditating. Their mind wanders constantly. It feels like they're failing at it.
Oh, absolutely. And it's so important to get this. Mind wandering is not failure. It's literally what minds do. It happens to everyone, even monks who've practiced for decades.
So the goal isn't a totally blank mind.
Not at all. The practice is noticing the wandering and gently, kindly, without judgment, bringing your attention back to your anchor, the breath, the body, whatever you chose. Each time you bring it back, that's a successful rep, strengthening the muscle of attention. It's a skill you hone over time. Consistency is key.
That's reassuring. Okay, let's look at the bigger picture now. Accessibility. We know these methods work, the techniques are there. How readily available are they?
They're becoming much more accessible. You have the core programs like MBSR and MBCT, but mindfulness is also a key ingredient in other well-established therapies like dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, and acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT.
So it's integrated into various approaches. What about delivery methods?
That's where things have really exploded, especially recently. Technology plays a huge role now.
Apps and online programs.
Exactly. Research, particularly studies done during the pandemic, showed that online or app-based mindfulness programs can be just as effective in reducing depressive symptoms as traditional in-person groups.
That's a game changer for access, surely. People in remote areas, people with mobility issues or social anxiety.
Huge deal. It lowers so many barriers.
But going back to commitment, you stressed that earlier. Is the standard 8 weeks enough, or does longer practice yield more benefits?
The evidence seems to lean towards longer interventions potentially being more effective. And definitely, ongoing practice is needed to maintain the benefits long-term. Those skills, like any skill, need regular exercise to stay sharp and prevent that cognitive reactivity from creeping back in.
So it's not a quick fix, graduate and done situation. It's more like mental fitness training.
That's a great analogy, mental fitness. You need to keep doing the exercises. And one more crucial point on accessibility and effectiveness: cultural tailoring. We need more research here.
Meaning, what works in one cultural context might need adapting for another.
Precisely. The effectiveness and even the acceptance of these practices can vary. That Peruvian study, for instance, was on a coastal population. Findings might differ in the highlands, where concepts of self, community, or expressing emotion might be different. We need to be sensitive to that.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the main takeaway for you, our listener, from this deep dive? It seems clear that mindfulness isn't just some vague wellness trend. It's a powerful, evidence-backed tool. It tackles the roots of anxiety, stress, and depressive relapse. Not by trying to eliminate bad feelings, but by fundamentally changing how you relate to your internal world. Learning acceptance, non-judgment. That seems key.
Absolutely. And maybe the final thought to leave you with connects back to that cultural point and the broader impacts. Seeing those strong results on things like social support and life satisfaction in the Peru study, it really highlights the potential for mindfulness to benefit well-being far beyond just individual symptoms. It could have societal implications. However, realizing that effectiveness and uptake are tied to cultural context means the big challenge moving forward isn't just proving mindfulness works, but figuring out how to adapt and deliver it in ways that resonate and are truly helpful across diverse populations worldwide. That's where the next wave of research and practice needs to go.